Jane Austen grew up in a vicarage in Steventon in the county of Hampshire. The Austen family didn't own a keyboard instrument when she was young, but by the 1790s, they'd obtained a small square piano for Jane's own use.
So by the 1790s, she was taking lessons with George Chard, the local impresario, the head of cathedral music at Winchester, who was a very big figure in Hampshire music making at the time. Jane Austen spent an enormous amount of time copying out music, very carefully written in a beautiful handwriting, and the clefs and the design of the music is completely unique to her.
Aunt Jane began her day with music, for which I conclude she had a natural taste, as she thus kept it up, though she had no one to teach, was never induced, as I have heard, to play in company, and none of her family cared much for it. I suppose that she might not trouble them, she chose her practice time before breakfast, when she could have the room to herself. She practised regularly every morning. She played very pretty tunes, I thought, and I liked to stand by her and listen to them.
So in 1801, when her father retired and the family moved to Bath, it must have been a real wrench for them to have sold the piano, particularly for Jane, who had grown such a fondness for her piano and the piano music making that she would have practiced and played every day.
Jane Austen arrived here in 1809 after a number of years of having moved around the south of the country, living in temporary accommodation. She came to Chawton and it was a settled home for her. It allowed her to re-establish her writing life. It was here that she revised the early drafts of Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility, and where she went on to create afresh Mansfield Park, Emma and Persuasion. So it was really a settled place for her here in Chawton.
So when Jane Austen moved to Chawton in 1809 and she was finally able to have a place of her own and really set her own stamp on a place, she was able to get her piano back and to buy a piano for Chawton.
Yes, we will have a pianoforte, as good a one as can be got for 30 guineas. And I will practice country dances that we may have some amusement for our nephews and nieces when we have the pleasure of their company.
Learning something about Jane Austen's music offers us a really interesting perspective on her writing and her novels. The songs she sang had poetry by major poets, and they offered her a pathway into a whole literary world and a relationship to literary tradition through performing. We know that she performed every day. She sang up until very late in her life, and her nieces remember being here at Chawton and standing beside her while she played the piano and sang songs that they remember the words to even. The Soldier's Adieu is a piece by Charles Dibdin. It's from one of his very popular entertainments called The Wags. And it dramatizes the story of a soldier leaving home, going away, not knowing if he's going to come back, and telling his beloved that her prayers will watch over him while he's in battle. Jane Austen copied this song herself in her music books, and she changed the words. So instead of saying the soldier's adieu, it becomes the sailor's adieu, thinking about her seafaring brothers and the way that they would have been away from home, fighting with their family, not knowing if they were going to come back.
My aunt, Miss Jane Austen, had nearly left off singing by the time I can recollect much about her performances. But some songs of hers I do remember. One was Her Groves of Green Myrtle, Let Foreign Lands Reckon.
3 songs that her niece Caroline remembers her singing regularly at Chawton, all are by major poets. One's by Burns, one's by Florian, and one's by Monk Lewis. And all of them treat the theme of fidelity and love over distance and time.
Another was entitled "Oh No, My Love, No," or The Wife's Farewell, I believe from the farce Of Age Tomorrow. I had a printed copy of this once myself ages ago, but the song I heard her sing oftenest was a little French ditty in her manuscript book. As a child, this was my favourite, and was what I asked for the oftenest.
The French song that Caroline remembers was a romance by Clarisse de Florian from his novel Estelle, set to music by François de Vienne. It tells the story of swallows who nest in the same spot every year. They fly away on their migration, but always return in the springtime to the same home.